Hey guys, it's your friend Jacob here. Good morning. Can't find my truck? I don't remember where I parked. I see it. Alright guys, today we're going to be installing all of the rafters for the roofing system on the pergola. We are using cedar tight knot 2x6s. These are 12 footers. Our run is going to be a little bit over 11 feet, so this is what we had to buy in order to make these rafters the right length. I want to take you through the process of figuring out exactly what your correct spot for your bird mouths are going to be. Each one of these rafters is going to have a bird mouth on the upper beam and one on the lower beam. So the most important thing is getting really accurate measurements, and the two measurements that you need to start, you can just go up and literally measure. You want the difference in elevation from the lowest beam to the highest beam, and that measurement on both sides, since it's all square and the same, is 23 7/8. So that is going to be the short leg of the triangle that I need to figure out. The run that I'm going to be working with and figuring out just has to do with the inside face of this beam and the inside face of that beam, and that distance, which is the long leg of the triangle, is going to be 97 1/8 inches. What I like to do is always make sure and draw out everything that I can, everything I know. In this case, what I have is my 23 7/8 height difference. I've got my 97 1/8 inch distance between the two. You can see kind of what I'm representing here as the beam. I'm measuring from that top inside corner to this top inside corner on the top edge of that upper beam. So I used my right angle program, it's called Right Angle, to figure out that with those two legs you end up with a hypotenuse of 100 inches. If there are hundredths, I'll round, and so I've rounded sort of to the 10th with these degrees. So my largest angle will be 76.2, which means this one has to be 13.8, and this of course is 90 degrees here. If you didn't have a 90-degree angle there for whatever reason, your math would have to be quite a bit different on this. You wouldn't be able to calculate, I guess, using Right Angle app. So I've already crowned this rafter. This is going to be the top, and so from that orientation we're going to start working forward. I'm going to use as much of this board as I can, and I want to start from this very corner. So let's come in here, work it over. Obviously you're just getting as close as you can. I'm going to mark that, and once I cut this remaining piece off, everything I'm going to do is going to be worked from there. So we'll figure out exactly what total length we want, and we'll match this angle on the upper end, and then we can figure out the center of it and start putting in all of our other notches. Alright, I've gotten both of the butt ends of my first rafter cut, and what I want to do is just go throw it up there and triple check and make sure that all of my lengths are going to work out before I even start cutting these dovetails in, because what I want to do with this is use it as a tracer, and I'm going to crown and cut all of these to length before I start putting in my dovetails, just so they all remain basically the same and very constant. So what I've done here is found the very middle of this bottom run so that I can measure out from that middle and center our rafter perfectly using that measurement that we have. So we know the length, and it's going to be 100 inches. So I need to make that length land in the very center of this run. So after I established a center mark, I came in here, this was my line, and then I worked back 5.5 inches at that 76.2 degree angle here, and came in with the 13.8 degree here just to double check. Made sure this run here is 5.5, and it is. That is the width of our beam. I'm still only going to cut one of these and just put it up there and make sure it works before I start cutting into the rest of the other 9. I really prefer this multi-tool, especially if you have the square tip over using a jigsaw to finish these out. The blade seems to always bend a little bit. You always get a curve, and then getting right into this perfect little 90-degree notch always seems hard. Maybe you have a different experience, but I never end up happy with my jigsaw corners. Whereas this with the multi-tool, it just ends up being perfectly square, and I like that look. Something I want to add about this multi-tool and making these really shallow angled cuts is that it's quite a bit easier because I'm working with cedar. If you're working with a harder wood, I guarantee you this multi-tool would not be a tip. It would probably give you a lot of problems. Alright, it wouldn't be Portland unless it started raining, so I kind of put the camera away for that. What I was doing is pre-drilling. I'm going to be putting 8-inch 60D nails down through the top of these and kind of secure them the way you would a purlin or something of that sort. And I do wish it wasn't this wet because I was planning on sanding these down really well while they're down on the ground. But in light of time, I do have to get these rafters up today, so I'm going to put them up without sanding them. Luckily, these are really nice cedar tight knot, sort of factory sanded and worked pieces. There were really only a couple spots that I was looking to clean up, but we'll just have to do it when they're up high. So the plan with these rafters is we're laying them out on a 24-inch on center layout. Something I'll be doing a little bit different than normal is that I'm going to mark the center of these beams and start from the center and mark my layout out that way because it is a run of 15 feet, so we're not going to end up on a 4-foot layout. So what you want to do is center stuff so that when you're looking up at those rafters later on, they're equally spaced. So on those ends where you have about 6 inches cut off on each side from a regular 16-foot layout, it's going to look nice and centered. There isn't going to be one shifted over a foot. That would look really weird. So you try to plan for these things and just do your best. I've now found the center of each of my beams. And so working out from the center is a little bit different when you're doing layout. I'm doing 2 foot on center, so I've got the 6 foot right here, but I'm going to move this over right here. And then as I go off to my right here, I'm going to be marking my X to the right of each one of these marks. So right here, that's 2 feet. And then my rafter is going to go there. So I'll repeat that down that way. I will then move this 6 foot over to here, mark my layout that way. And then of course I'll come back and make sure that everything ends up being on a 24-inch layout. All right, so I got all those rafters up. That was really uncomfortable because I'm just soaking wet now. I don't know if you can... The whole front of my body is soaked, but I'm really happy that I got these things up. It's really starting to take shape. I can't wait to put on the whole roof system, but we're gonna have to stop here for today.